Professor Gade. Good to have you, sir.
Yeah, it's nice to have you too. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. Sir, I would like to have your profile in brief.
Uh, I am Professor Emmanuel Olubade Ojo. I am a professor of political science, a one-time head of department University of Ilorin, and also a one-time special advisor on political matters to Governor Ajimobi, and later chief of staff to Governor Abiola Ajimobi in Oyo State. I took all my degrees in political science from the University of Ibadan. And at the same time, I am not just an Ibadan indigenous, I am also the General Overseer of Sanctuary of Christ Evangelical Church in Ibadan here.
Thank you. It's a pleasure meeting you once again.
I am married with children, and I'm widely traveled too.
Okay. So you are a latest professor in town.
Not latest. My promotion was backdated 2 years ago.
Okay.
2 years ago. So
That was 2000.
I've been a professor a long time before now.
Okay.
But while I was serving in government,
Okay.
university don't promote when you are on leave of absence.
Okay.
Promotion is seen as reward for hard work in the university system.
Okay.
So professorial promotion is not a political appointment.
Okay. So thank you very much. Looking at the professorial or as an academic person and then politician, you combine the two together. How come do you get it done perfectly?
You see, I am combining three things, not two.
Okay.
As a clergyman, as a scholar, and at the same time, as a public office holder.
So how do you go?
I was a technocrat in government.
Okay.
There is a difference between a politician strictly and a technocrat in government. I was invited to government not on the strength of participation in politics, but rather as a technocrat.
Okay. So you were invited.
Yeah, into government as a technocrat. It's like when we are talking of the likes of Okonjo-Iweala, the former governor of Central Bank, Charles Soludo. So people could be invited into government, not necessarily because they are politicians, really. There is no president or governor that will make use of only politicians and succeed. You will need technocrats, either as lawyers, sound lawyers, either as medical doctors, or a political scientist that understand the nitty-gritty of governance. That's it. And that's what makes the difference between the government of Obasanjo and that of Buhari. When you look at the cabinet of Buhari, he appointed a lot of politicians, former ministers, former governors, and that's why the situation is the way it is. But Obasanjo appointed substantial number of technocrats into his government, people that will think correctly, not because they want to satisfy their constituency for electoral gain, right? But people that will give advice to the chief executive, objective advice on how to move the system forward.
Okay.
That's it.
Thank you. So, with what you are saying now, you are telling us that having more technocrats in government is even better than having just ordinary politicians in government.
Yeah, there should be places for technocrats, not just politicians. For instance, if you are elected a governor, you will look for a thoroughbred journalist to be your special advisor media.
Okay.
That person doesn't have to be a politician. When Buhari became president, he went to the Sun newspaper to pick Femi Adesina. And do you call Femi Adesina a politician?
Okay.
I think you are getting the
He was
message.
not a politician then.
Yeah, he was not. He couldn't have been.
Okay.
He was with the Sun newspaper. When you look at Governor Seyi Makinde in Oyo State, His current special advisor, media, was from the Nigerian too.
You're talking about Taiwan.
Yes, that a politician.
Okay.
And so the way government operates all over the world, right? When you get there are different rules for thoroughbred politicians and for technocrats.
Okay.
Don't forget when Seima Kede got there, I went for a woman as SIG.
Okay.
That woman wasn't a politician.
You're talking about Barrister Diosho.
He's not a politician.
Okay.
I don't know whether you are getting a message. It's not.
Okay.
So you don't go for politicians alone if you want to run a good government. If you are going for politicians alone, this is where you will find yourself. Because in most cases, their suggestions and advice will be colored with sentiment.
Okay.
Sentiment. But a technocrat, say someone from the university who is going back to the university, will give you correct advice because he has his own job.
Or you may decide not to take the advice.
And the issue is an advisor remains an advisor. The person you are advising will decide whether to take that advice or not. And that's another fundamental problem with governance in Africa. You are giving them good suggestions and they may not take to it.
You work with Senator Ajimobi. Did he
Yes.
take advice?
Hmm?
Senator Ajimobi. Is this someone that take advice? He
He was a human being like me. And we were giving him advice, but he was free to decide which to take or not.
Okay.
Don't forget that the buck stops on the table of the chief executive. If we are giving you advice and you are not taking it, it's good luck to you. Whatever happens, you get the credit and the liability at the chief executive.
Okay, you've analyzed the government of Olusegun Obasanjo and Muhammadu Buhari to some extent, looking at it from, having technocrats and politicians in their government. So I want us to look at the political transition between 1999 and 2023. I'm talking next year. Let's look at the political history and the security situation. Let's look at where we have, gotten things wrong and what are the necessary things we need to put in place.
You see, Nigeria transited to civil rule in 1999 after several years of military interregnum. But since 1999 today, we have been lucky as a country that the military remain in the barracks where they are supposed to be. Despite the fact that politicians have been wumbling and fumbling, that notwithstanding, we keep on improving with our electoral processes. How? In 1999 until recently, elections were never free and fair. Votes never counted. It was not a case of one man, one vote. But with the introduction of technology, permanent voters card, accreditation and all that, election is gradually becoming, important and credible. You don't just sit there in your room and announce results. The opposition will go to court and they will win. Because when you look at how many people actually registered, how many people actually voted, to the point that if there is a case of overvoting like it happened in Osun, the tribunal will deduct all the votes where people overvoted in a polling unit. Tribunal will remove the vote, the ballot,
Okay.
and now tell us who actually won the election. So we are moving. From the time of Jaga, chairman of FINEC, he came out with innovations, most especially university professors being invited as returning officers. And I don't see many professors that you will bribe to tell you 1 + 1 is 10. A university professor will tell you no. I am okay, right? I don't want to be part of the rot by virtue of our training. Though there are few bad eggs, but that notwithstanding, a university professor most especially vice chancellors of universities, who have been invited as returning officers,
Okay.
right, to announce governorship, presidential election result. So those are the innovations that have been brought
Okay.
into the electoral process, and we are gradually moving. We are gradually moving.
Let's look at the security situation in Nigeria today. What do you think we have to do, or we're supposed to have done, to make sure that we have adequate security around?
Currently, Nigeria is in a mess in terms of security. In fact, as we are talking, and where we are talking now, only God knows. Only God can protect us. Nobody's 100% sure what can happen in the next 10 minutes.
We have our gate closed.
No matter how close the gates may be, if you boarded a train, not a motor car, if you boarded aircraft, are you not supposed to have sense of security? People travel from Lagos to Abuja by flight, from Abuja by train to Kaduna, and they bombed the rail line and they were captured. Then, what do you do? So the issue is, we have security problem on our hand for the following reasons. One, excruciating poverty. Our people are getting poorer on a daily basis, and they are desperate to survive. Number two, inability to develop strong institutions like the military, the police, the CSS, the DSS that will gather intelligence.
Okay.
Number three, our borders are porous. Nigeria is borderless, for your information. Borderless in the sense that anybody from Niger, from Cameroon, can strain into the country. If our president could say it openly that the Fulanis giving us problem migrated from Libya, and when you look at the map of Africa, and you begin to count how many countries from Libya before you reach Nigeria, and nobody could stop them until they moved down to Nigeria, and because they were mercenaries under Gaddafi government. So with the crisis in Libya, principalities fighting for supremacy in Libya, they moved down here, and no one at the border could arrest them. This is a country without a national ID card successfully implemented. Anybody could be selling suya, and he may be from Niger, he may be from Chad. The fact that he could speak Hausa or Fulani, the person is assumed to be a Nigerian, which is not correct.
Okay.
Which is not correct. So those are the problem. And the major problem is corruption. Nigeria has been budgeting since 1960 for security. Go and look at the national budget. Each year they have been voting money for security, for the military, for the police and all that. Where has the money been going to? That's number one. Number two, tied to corruption, is what I call techno-economic structure of Nigerian society. Our level of technology and the economy. This is a country that cannot manufacture AK-47. AK-47 is manufactured in Russia, imported from Russia. America has their own gun, UK has their own gun, Germany has their own gun. We cannot manufacture military hardware and software. And where they were imported, we cannot maintain. You still have to bring the engineers to repair. I don't know whether you are getting the message.
Getting you.
And when intelligence is gathered, those in government are too busy with things that are not really important. Look at the Kuje prison that was broken into by miscreant. Intelligence report said they will break into Kuje prison in Abuja, federal capital for that matter. The Minister of Interior could not do anything. Mr. President could not do anything until that intelligence report came up like a prophecy, and it came to pass. That's not the way to run a country. American president will wake up 4 a.m. every day, 4 a.m., you must get up from bed, dress up. By 5 a.m., he's on his desk, taking tea. The first assignment for American president or governor is to read national news, newspaper. That's the first assignment. Before he can attend to anything, any file or anybody, they will put all the newspapers on his table.
He will read himself, or some people will
Himself, not anybody reading for him. He will read by himself.
But reverse is the case here in Nigeria.
Reverse is the case here in Nigeria because the media advisors will buy the papers, mark where Mr. Governor should look at, whether he look at it or not. It's none of their business.
Okay.
So, governor is a serious business in developed countries.
So are you saying those in the helms of affairs here are not informed?
They are not. Not only that, in developed countries, there is no problem of accessibility. If you go to America today, any state in the US, I was in Indiana, state of Indiana, at Indianapolis. And I told a friend I wanted to see their governor. That was when I was in government. They took me to his office without fence, without intimidating security personnel. And you will go there and book. I, Professor Mr. So from so place, likely to meet with you for 5 minutes. And they will not get back to you that on Wednesday or Tuesday, so time, Mr. Gordon will attend to you. Whether you are a pepper seller or you are a bread seller or you are a bus conductor.
So you don't need any influential.
You don't need an influential person to do that in developed country. So those that are governing will know what is happening. But yeah, the day they are elected, they go into powder. You don't see their face anymore. In fact, those in the parliament, they don't have a vibrant constituency offices. From the day they were elected into the House of Representatives or Senate, they disconnected. Only though they want to see that they will come out with the photograph. Not just anybody from their constituency. How many of them are running vibrant constituency offices in local government areas that you want to see a senator? At my level, for your information, I was at Abuja 3 years back, and I went to the office of a senator who was not there, and I dropped a note. When he came by, he could not phone me. That dog, you came to my office. I was not available then. Anything.
Who among them are you referring to?
I don't need to mention the name publicly. He knows himself. And the day I saw him, I told him, if at my level, I could come to your office, not to beg for anything, and you could not acknowledge my presence, automatically you are not representing anybody.
Prof, I want us to understand the mentality of politicians, especially when they are in the office. They believe everybody that comes to them or approach them come for a particular thing. I don't know, maybe you study them.
Ordinarily, when I was in government, you used to come to my office. And people knew that I was assessing. But the truth is that...
Even sometimes you drive yourself.
The truth is that in this part of the country, in this part of the world, when you are in public office, people see you as a cash cow. They come for you for things that are not meaningful. My wife gave birth yesterday, and what's my business with that? My mother died this morning, and so what? People will come to you to distract your attention, begging for one thing or the other. Because they see government money as nobody's money. And society expectation is warped. Warped in the sense that they assume when you are in government, you should be stealing. When I was in government, a friend of mine, maybe me now, pestered me to buy him block to build his house. And I told him, when I was building my house before I went into government, who gave me blocks? Why should it be my own responsibility to buy you blocks? So our society itself...
Because you are not accessible to the money.
Not because of that, I'm disciplined as a scholar. I couldn't have been doing what I was criticizing in the classroom. That's one. I was not accessible to money, one, but that notwithstanding, if I were to be, I couldn't have messed up my integrity and my name as a preacher of the word and as a scholar who have conducted research on political and bureaucratic corruption before I got into government. I couldn't be part of the mess that I was criticizing.
Okay. That's the reason.
That's the reason.
So you are disciplined.
Disciplined to the core.
Okay. You work with a former governor, Ajimobi.
Yes.
How can you describe Senator Ajimobi?
Senator Ajimobi was
People say
courageous.
You talk too much.
He was courageous. He was intelligent. And he was well read. He was an old man, almost 70 years at the time he was leaving government, or thereabout. So when people were saying he was talking too much, people were only being petty.
Do you see him talking too much?
What's your business about the way he talked? He was in government, his government was to deliver infrastructure. Those that are not talking now, they cannot give you flyover at Makola. If Abiola Ajimobi within the first 4 years build a flyover at Makola, and you are complaining was talking, those that are not talking cannot build another flyover and another point at Ibadan City. That's number one.
When last have you been to challenge an Ojo?
So you have seen flyover there.
Okay.
What is in Ojo?
How about other?
Ojo is federal government road. Don't compare
I'm
Ojo
not
is
talking
not
about
state.
the road this time. I'm talking about the park.
Which park?
Don't you see that?
The park was a waste of resources and a misplaced priority. Why should any reasonable governor pump billions into motor park? How much will you generate? When you are deploying resources, you have to look at the benefit of that project to the society. And if it is revenue yielding, how much is it likely to bring back? Now, when you look at the model of motor park built by Ajimobi, a modest one, third the floor, fence the place, build offices, maybe it's for people to go and board motor vehicle and go to wherever they are going to. You are not talking of train station now, you are not talking of airport. What is in a motor park that you have to expend billions of naira? Motor driver that don't renew their driver's license, commercial vehicle that don't renew their papers, the money they generate doesn't go to the coffers of the government. So is there any sense in wasting billions? When the state hospital is in a terrible situation, if you have common malaria, go to the state hospital at Adeoyo. Go and try them. You will see doctor really, but you won't get drug free. And they will tell you critical drugs are not available. And you are building motor park and people are dying. That's not the way it should be. That's not the way it should be. You go to some schools, the situation is terrible. All over Ibadan, the 11 local governments in Ibadan, there is no local government road that have been built or rebuilt presently. All roads are in terrible situation. Move from the city of Ibadan, you will see in terms of environment, Mr. Governor admitted that he scored 0 until the goes Ibadan got to this environment. You see heaps of refuse everywhere. Go to Iwo Road, stinking. Go to Ojo, stinking. Waiting for those that are building road to evacuate the refuse. That's not the way to govern people.
So you are talking about the road construction, you are talking about some other things. You didn't look at some other areas like building health hospitals across the local government.
Which hospitals?
In your state.
Hospitals are already there. You can only rehabilitate, you can only upgrade. And it is local government that build dispensaries. A governor cannot claim that he's building hospitals in all local government. People should know the function of local government and function of the state government. Hospital management board is centrally organized at the state level. And you know where the state hospitals are. Go to Ring Road, move around the premises, and you ask yourself questions. The place is bushy.
Okay.
So that is government hospital. Built as far back as military dispensation. Go to the one at Adeoyo, overcrowded. right? No drug for patient. No enough medical doctors to attend to patient. You telling me? And that place was built several decades ago.
Prof, there's no way we will not talk about the security situation in your state. Compare the government of Senator Abiola Ajimobi and current engineer Shibu Makinde.
You cannot compare two things that are not comparable. Ajimobi was a decent politician, and he told us clearly that he was not ready for any talk or miscreant. And he won the road transport employer and National Union of Road, NURTW, road transport worker. I warned them clearly that no one should foment trouble. The first primary responsibility of any government is not to build road. It's maintenance of law and order. That's the first responsibility of any government at all levels.
Okay.
If you cannot maintain peace and order, peace and tranquility, you cannot achieve anything.
Okay.
Members of the public will not see you as doing anything. You may be building road every day, but people cannot sleep with their two eyes closed. This is state where you have a governor and a chief talk, disturbing the peace of the society, moving around in comfort, intimidating, harassing people. That's not the way it should be. If you can't against the governor, you send him out. That is.
Yeah, but you politicians, in one way or the other, you try to attract people in union, URTW, park management, and the likes to look into your government so that they will help you. You always need them.
For what? What is their level of education? What is their exposure? Of what significance are the motor transport drivers that you need them in government?
Okay.
It is a union. It is their own trade, what they are doing for their own living. As you support them, so you must support NUT. You must support MBA lawyers. You must support medical doctors. But any union that is fomenting trouble, you have to deal with them. You don't encourage them to be doing that. You deal with them.
Okay, Professor Gade, let's look at your governorship candidate in your state, Senator Teslim Folare, and the incumbent governor, Engineer Shibu Makinde. Do you think Senator Teslim Folare can compete with Engineer Shibu Makinde and defeat the incumbent governor come 2023?
You are putting words into my mouth. That's my candidate. You have to say, you may ask me to assess the candidate of APC.
Okay.
And compare him with the candidate of any other political party. Don't forget that I'm back to the university.
Okay, is there anything accessible to Senator Teslim Folare? What can you say about him?
He's a politician, an experienced politician. He has been on the field for more than 20 years. And he's a 3-time senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. In terms of practical politics, you can say he should know better than others. Don't forget that Seyi Makinde is an engineer,
Okay.
dealing with tools and machinery. Don't forget that Teslim Folare read political science. That means he's a social scientist. Don't forget that when Seyi Makinde came in, he could not manage people that brought him into government. He could not manage them.
In what way?
Look at the coalition. From Babaladoja to Lanlenyi, all of them. They were here on radio, supporting him, telling the electorate that he should be voted for. Within a few months, he came into government. He fell out with all of them. Barrister Sarafa Ali, and Femi Lanlenyi, and all of them. He fell out with them. That is inability to manage human beings.
You're talking about managing human beings. Are you expecting His Excellency to be pumping money or giving them something that belongs to the people?
Those people I mentioned, they are not poor, wretched people. Managing human beings is not just about giving them money. You make them important, you take to their advice, you benefit from their experience.
Okay.
I don't know what, because everybody, we are all stakeholders in the project of developing your state. Whether you are a pepper seller or you are a bread seller or you are a professor, in as much as we are citizens of the state, residents in the state, we are all stakeholders in the project of developing our state.
Okay.
So you have to listen. You should have feedback mechanism when you are in government. You should not be all wise. That's the beauty of democracy. When you are all wise, you become a dictator. You become a dictator.
Okay. Thank you. And we have been speaking with Professor Gade Ojo. Professor Gade Ojo was the Chief of Staff to the former Governor Abiola Ajimobi, and he is a lecturer at the University of Ilorin in Kwara State.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Professor. Oh, let me ask this: being a professor, being a politician, being a clergyman, which one do you enjoy most?
I enjoy all.
Okay.
And that is why I dabbled into all. I enjoy all. And that is what makes one complete.
Okay.
If you are focused one way, you may be a success in that realm alone.
Okay.
And you become a complete novice in another realm.
Okay.
And I forgot to tell you that I grew up in the newsroom. I was a foundation staff of television service of Oyo State at the time of Olage, 1982. So, and that is why I write for National Daily too.
Okay.
And so, I am into many areas.
So you are well exposed.
Well exposed.
You are in position to advise the government.
And widely traveled.
Okay. Okay, Professor Gade Ojo, can we use this opportunity to advise the government of Oyo State and the people generally with regards to the coming 2023 election?
Now, my advice to the electorate is that we should allow peace to reign.
Okay.
We should eschew politics of violence. And that INEC, the election management bodies, will ensure that our vote counts. That the person we vote for is going to be the person declared as a winner of the election.
Professor Gade Ojo, thank you for speaking with me.
It's a pleasure. Come on your program. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Professor Gade Ojo is a lecturer at University of Ilorin. He worked with Senator Abiola Ajimobi as Chief of Staff then in the office. Thank you. Ademola Adeshokun, Mr. Speaker, is my name. See you next time.